But we have got an opportunity to address this, and that's why Calling Academy was started. Calling Education's vision statement in response to that problem statement was to develop the most relevant model of providing top quality education to low income learners. For us to provide a top quality education to low income learners, it's going to cost something. I got a call from Stefan and he told me, Werner, I couldn't sleep last night. That's how we started the conversation.
I haven't slept at all, and I have this crazy idea. He was tell me what you think. He wants.
Ja, je kan voor ons tijd komen.
Ja, alles met de liggen die wel kan doen.
Kijk, als zij daar kan werken, is het dat gewoon. Ons gaan dit uitsorteer en dan.
Okay, will you start us with the welcome? Okay, you can stand up and then introduce Zach. Okay.
Kwaliteit van staal.
Zach.
Ja. Waar zit ons die lucht aan?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to thank you for your effort and time to come here. We're really grateful. So starting off to introduce myself, my name is Kamba. Going to the boy of 2025 next year. I'm standing here with my colleague and my board in crime, Zach, my 15th board. And to be a board of the school. To start off, I'm really grateful also to be standing beside him. I really think we will be able to, work off the hard times and be able to achieve success and succeed forward. To welcome you guys, I want to say, okay, getting nervous. Okay, I won't say much on the Calling Cape Town. I really wanna, thank you guys for participating in such a big event. It's a really huge event, and I really want to thank also Mr. Steph for being part of the school. Always helping us in the school. I'm really grateful, and the school surely is grateful for you being part of the school. So I would like to take it over to Zach.
Thanks, Kamba. Appreciate that. I feel the same about you. I look forward to working together with you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Welcome to the old faces, the old young faces. Welcome, and welcome to the new faces as well. I'm very excited to work with you, to volunteer as a photographer for Calling Cape Town 2025. So I've been asked to just touch on Calling Cape Town and Calling Academy and how it's interlinked for me. So having experienced both sides, I really enjoyed the camaraderie at Calling Cape Town. All the athletes are like friends. It's like you don't need to know the people, but it feels like you've known everyone for the longest time. And it feels the same at Calling. All the teachers know each other, all the teachers are friends with each other, and you can just approach anyone and talk about whatever, and they'll be there to listen. So yeah, I look forward to this evening and this year and next year's event as well. And without further ado, Mr. Pluto. I think we're going to go back to the video.
I would just like to say, if anyone needs anything, anything else, I'd like to talk to my colleagues or my student council here. If you need anything, just let us know.
That's how we started the conversation.
I haven't slept at all, and I have this crazy idea, and he just tells me what he thinks. He wants to do this challenge for the school, and it's going to entail these 3 crazy challenges all in one day. And I was just like, why do you want to go through all that effort?
The purpose behind the challenge is to raise 4 million rand for calling education. In the beginning, it was just going to be me, just doing the event, asking a couple of guys that I know to support the school.
You developed a great vision for us. Tell us more about the event you're planning.
We will be swimming from Robben Island to Bloberg Strand, 8 kilometers swim, starting at 5:30 in the morning.
Make things and now everybody's calling it bloody address. Even you said to me on the phone the other day, we're going to come full with address.
Then we're going to join the Cape Town cycle tour and do 109 kilometers cycle.
And get changed and deal with our thermia and get them warmed up and get them onto the bikes.
The cycling?
0.
I have never done a long cycle at all.
After the cycle, we are going to do the 3 peaks challenge. 50 kilometers with 3 kilometers in elevation.
Climbing or running 3 different peaks and getting that would then complete the challenge.
So everyone people is going to join us for the hike.
To be honest with you, a young circleist.
Really good to speak, you play top
They're doing things without an expectation to get something back, and then that's something very beautiful to see in people's hearts.
Mr. Ahmed is joining for the full challenge, and we're planning on doing that all within 24 hours.
I knew that it was going to be this boy Joel, and he's apparently very excited about this opportunity. You know when you do something and you're like, you're doing the right thing, you know, it was kind of like that.
We can't just go bang out 35k runs all day. No, we shouldn't.
Actually, I was trained.
We do have a strategy.
We do. Just don't look at us.
When he explained it to me again, I said to him, you can't do it. These guys are working people. They work 9 to 5, they've got families. You've got pro athletes, not going to name names, but a couple of pro athletes were approached to do this. And I said, no, thank
The
you.
events planners would tell us, like, you guys are actually taking on the impossible, but we will try and make this
I
possible.
mean, we're probably going to question some things on the road.
My main concerns is the fact that it's a nighttime event.
There's one small proviso who's rejected our application.
This conversation sort of thing.
Where hypothermia and death is a real risk.
Came through that he was positive with COVID.
You cannot participate tomorrow.
As I got out of the very bad disease.
Still swimming after the Robben swim.
This man.
It hurts.
The fog all went off, which meant get off the mountain, and those chances of lightning. No, stop the event now.
Grateful, feeling tired, feeling sore.
Ilo is one of those examples where you want to say, this is why the school exists.
And seeing how we achieved that together as a group, it's monumental.
The seeds that were planted this year are still going to grow.
Good evening everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Goeienaand almal, ons is baie dankbaar dat julle hier is. Dankie dat julle deel is van hierdie spesiale aand. My name is Werner. As you heard, I'm the former principal of this school. I was the principal here for 5 years, and then I handed over to Rahul at the back. Just give a wave. He's the more competent version. So he's the current principal of the school. He also completed the event in the first year. So my job this evening, but I think hopefully I think it's already happened, is I want to tell you guys why this school is worthy to support. And then hopefully you can catch the art of calling education, because that would hopefully propel you into choosing to do the event. And then when you do the event, you become a fundraiser for the school. And I just want to give you all of that background so that you've got a good understanding of where it all comes from. Thanks, dear all. Sorry, I neglected to. So, a little bit of history quickly about the school, about calling education. Okay, we're almost there. So you would have seen in the video that our vision is to provide top quality education to low-income learners. That's basically the tagline. So just a little bit of my history as the co-founder of the school, along with, just a quick test here, there we go. So along with two friends, we started discussing the problem in Stellenbosch firstly, where we've got these wonderful world-class schools, whatever that may mean, and in schools that are not as successful, and the difference is basically an income disparity. The haves get a great education, and the have-nots, the lucky streets maybe, but the majority just can't. So we were just struck by this problem statement, and that led to them and me getting together and saying, is there a way that we can solve this problem? I then resigned from my previous position. I was teaching at Paul West at the time. I resigned at the end of 2015 to go on this crazy journey. In hindsight, it was really a crazy decision. My wife was pregnant at the time with our second child, and people said, what in the world are you doing? There's like no proof that this thing is even going to work. You don't have a property, you don't have a model, you only have this idea. But nonetheless, the levels of conviction were very high. So it was a crazy but easy decision, if I put it that way. And then 2016 and 17, we spent research and development. We wanted to do something that's proper. We didn't want to start something that's not going to be up to standard. Then we're just doing more schools. And then we're just solving the numbers problem. We don't want to solve the numbers problem alone. We want to do something that's really worthwhile and that sets the bar very high in this space of low-fee effective education. So just some of the stats to give you a bit of background. 80% of high schools in South Africa are deemed dysfunctional. That was a study done by the National Education Law Center. And then the bottom left one is quite stark. Let's leave out the race. Let's make it just 2/3 of South Africa's children grow up without a biological father in the household. Then just another crazy academic stat: 3% of schools in South Africa produce more distinctions in maths than the other 97% put together. So those of us who were fortunate enough to go to one of those 3% schools, we really got a world-class education. And we're grateful for that. But what can we do now to serve our country and to address this problem statement? So that's why we started Calling Academy in 2018. You are all here tonight sitting in this beautiful facility. Whose first time is it to the school? If I can just check, because that's about 60% of the audience. So we're very grateful to have all of you here this evening. Thank you so much for coming. So we started in extremely humble facilities. We had 2 classrooms available in that building. The other 4 classrooms were occupied by another school, so we even shared the facilities with another school. They were quite dysfunctional, and they departed at the end of that year. And then we had the old farm school building in the second year to ourselves, and then we started incrementally improving the property until we got to this building. So I'll say something about that. We literally had to break out the ceiling boards. We had to replace a lot of the roof trusses. When I got here, it's actually a long story, but we were like, our first 3 options for property just fell through quite spectacularly. And we had 4 months to find a property to start the school. And in an amazing way, this property came to be. And I remember when the principal of that other school showed me, he said, well, we can. I asked him for one class, and I said, we must start the school, we absolutely must start the school next year. We just want to rent one classroom for you. And he said, well, I can do better, I can give you two. And then he showed me the classrooms, and it was literally like rat poo on the floor. It was really, really bad, with parts of the ceiling on the floor. And I was just like, we'll take it. Like, we must just start. And the rest is history. So, yeah, you can see even the field, we had to make quite significant changes to get the field to where it is. And here, that's the room, obviously, we are in now. I'll quickly, you can see this building. That one, this building that we're sitting in today, won two international awards. The one was the Commonwealth Architects Association for the overall prize in the social impact category. The other one was an Architizer Award in the low cost design category. So really, I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying this is a world-class building because of the multifunctional use of space. We're not going to go into that now, but that's where we've come from RAP to international workers. That's quite cool. I'm not going to go into the model of the school too much. I want to talk about one particular program. So we'll get to that, but there's a lot to say regarding the model. I'll park most of that until a future date. But we said from the beginning, listen, if this thing can work and we can do it well, it could become a blueprint. Maybe blueprint is not quite the right word because you don't want to lift and drop the model. Maybe more like a playbook, a little bit more flexibility. If we can do this well, it can become a playbook for other solutions. And we then even started a second school in the Free State province in Kroonstad. So this was in the 5th year of this school, 2022. We planted a second school in Kroonstad. They are now in the 3rd year. They was building there. Quite exciting. And I don't want to say this out loud because it's a public space, but some people are encouraging me to say it. That there is a strong chance of a 3rd school in January even. We're keeping that under wraps. But let's hope. Those of you who are praying people, please pray. If you're not a praying person, just pray as well. Just get all the help on board so we can get this thing over the line. No, it's quite it's sort of the final phase of those discussions. It's quite a serious thing. So it could not happen. But if it does, I think that will be an incredible target to raise for. There's a new school up and running. And even if there isn't, there's more than enough. So we'll talk about that still. But yeah, it's a very exciting team. Just to quickly show you in Kroonstad, we also inherited really poor facilities, and this is the same room as this. So really great improvements that we've seen, and that's what we're building now. That classroom, and those two. They're about this high out of the ground. So it's quite exciting what's happening there. And that's costing quite a lot of money, but it's going to happen. We don't have any doubt about that. Just to quickly give you an idea of the South African education landscape. So on the one hand, you've got the free government schools. They play an important part. On the other hand, you've got the expensive independent schools. They also play an important part. And in the middle, you've got a mix. You've got the independent schools getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and you've got the government schools getting more expensive as well. And there's maybe even an overlap where some government schools are more expensive than some independent schools. But in recent years, there's been a real groundswell in this space, the so-called low-fee independent school space. A lot of these are profitable models, sitting maybe from here up. I mean, there's no scale here, so just this side of the arrow is a profitable low-fee independent school where they run on an extremely lean model, they charge between 35 and 80,000 rand a year school fee. But even though that's a low fee school, it's not really accessible to low income community, except again for the few university. So we wanted to be innovative on this side of the arrow, where we have a non-profit organization that can qualify for the government subsidy, that can issue Section 18A certificates to donors and make a school available, a top quality independent school at a very low fee. So that's just to give you an overall idea. This space really is booming. I'll get back to that shortly. In fact, you will look at the date of these quotes. 17 September 2024 was this morning. I attended it's quite recent. So it's always good
moments where the speaker put up a slide and it was like, this slide was from this morning's paper. I'm like, I want to be like that. So, from this morning, the World Bank released a report on education to Western Cape this morning. So I was privileged to be, or our organization was privileged to be invited to the release of the report. It was a pretty nice affair. But that just shows you how people are taking notice now of what's happening here. So I'm quite excited about that. But just look at what the Minister of Education said this morning. I typed it and he said it. There's a lot of work to do to expand the number of independent schools serving the low-income community in the Western Cape. So from the Minister and from the Western Cape side, I can give you an absolute guarantee that this is a high priority for them in the education space. I had another meeting last week where the Premier was, and they just keep on driving this thing home that this is going to be part of the solution of the education problem in our province. So we are perfectly aligned with what's happening at the government level. And the lady from the World Bank gave an interesting stat. 6% of learners in Western Cape attend independent secondary schools. Globally, 30% of secondary learners attend independent schools. It's just an interesting thing that there is a lot of space a lot of opportunity, I think, to innovate in this space. So we are all in this room, we are all part of that. I can talk to you about the academics. We will talk about the academics at some point. I've got one side of that. But I quickly want to tell you about this program called Impact, because I think this is where our school really is differentiated from the norm. Because I said to someone else the other day, what is the essence of education? The essence of education is helping learners to lay hold of their callings. For me, that's the essence. That could be academic, that could be in so many different ways. But this program called Full to Impact, I'm super excited about. And I could do a whole hour talk just on that. But I think it's one of the most innovative things. And usually when people talk about innovation in education, they talk about tech. How can we use tech more? And we do that. But how can we do this sort of things? For me, it's really even more innovative. So we've got a short video. I don't know, Devon, if you want to move it over to, can we show it here on my, I think it's the next, it might be the next slide. Oh, let me just first say quickly what the program is about. We'll show a short video and then I'm almost done. So essentially the program is about understanding poverty alleviation, right? I read a great book called When Helping Hurts, How to Alleviate Poverty Without Hurting the Poor and Yourself. Great read. And basically principles for effective poverty alleviation. When I read this book, I realized you've got to teach these principles in schools. And then we started teaching it at the grade 8 and 9 level compulsory, and grade 10 to 12 it was a voluntary workshop to attend. And then the kids who scored on were encouraged to go and conceptualize their own projects, come back with a suggestion, write it up in an essay form, then they have to defend their idea in front of the panel. But they've got to keep in mind what is effective poverty alleviation, what is generosity, what type of poverty are you alleviating, are you doing a relief approach, is it a rehabilitation approach, development approach. So really a heavy theory for the kids to grapple with and then to come up with their projects. And I think the long-term win is that not only do the projects get done that relieve poverty in some way, but also in the kids' mindset. And I think that's the big thing. The thing of, listen, maybe I'm from a township and I live in a shack, therefore I need help. Perhaps that's one extreme. So I'm not saying everyone thinks like this, it's just one extreme. But if you can shift that thinking to, I'm from a township, I live in a shack, therefore I'm called to help, because I understand the context so much better than someone who doesn't live there. And I've got all the ingenuity and the agency to do something. So we then fund their projects and they can roll and do these projects. And this thing is going to catch on to other schools. I'm 100% sure of it. In fact, it's already happening. And I can give you a better explanation. But that's just to give you an idea of the things that we try to do beyond just academics. It's about attaching the learner to their calling, not just helping them to jump through the hoops. So there's a short video on that. Let's hope these talks go. We realized working with youth from low-income areas that whereas they are often seen as the problem, in fact, these kids are the solution to many of our country's challenges. And if we could activate a certain mindset in them that will position them as long-term change makers in low-income communities, we would be solving a massive problem from the ground up.
The problem that we are addressing is the fact that many South Africans have turned into a state of waiting. We are waiting for someone to do something.
So, calling education is taking a new approach to holistic education,
by implementing this program called Thought to Impact. So when I heard about this project, I just decided that this is one way that it can actually help my community to change. Learners attend a workshop where we teach poverty alleviation principles to them. Thereafter, they come up with their own ideas to impact the communities. Then they come and present these projects to a panel. And then thereafter, there's funding involved to actually give them the opportunity to implement their projects. I identified an individual in my community who had an informal business in gardening and tree felling, and I provided him with a lawnmower and pamphlets to advertise his business.
Community, a young boy, maybe 5, 7 years old, smoking cigarette or doing other substance. But now, if you go to my community, you're more likely to see a child having a soccer ball.
This is saya balik barber shop yung saya tuh imagine putting zaitun for the barber.
I'll put the lady who gives me money, the guest stove. This will help her when she experiences load shedding. This will make a business into, and with this and the opportunity I have, to motivate more young people to help in the young community.
The biggest change I've seen in my boys that have been part of the Thought to Impact program is the fact that they now know that they can use what they have to make a difference in the community.
Relief is something good because they're helping the person. But then if you relieve them too much, they become dependent on you. So I think I should touch on those 3 stages from relief to rehabilitation to development, because when it does that, it motivates that person to be independent.
Ultimately, when we do share this with other schools, we want them to know you don't have to be a specific type of a person for you to be influential and to lead a change in your community. Anyone who just feels this is something I'm called to can do it.
I want O's title and always so that she can start her own business. Thank you.
The problem at hand is that there are children who don't have clothes to wear and shoes to wear.
It just emphasizes how wonderfully talented and the amount of calling and potential that each and every one of these young people have, and we just need to give them a platform to do it.
And so I really would love to make a positive impact on my community, because my community stands there for me. We want to launch this program to as many places as possible so that their youth can also be equipped and empowered to make a difference.
If you give a man a fish, you feed him for 1 day. But if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for the rest of his life.
Just want to say that this is going to spark something in our boys, in the communities that they live in, and South Africa as a whole. Yes.
I don't know how much I need to do to convince you to support us. I think that would have already gotten you over the line. But just to give you a quick idea to the academic problem statement, the WCD conducts what they call the systemic tests. They test all the grade 3s, grade 6s and 9s in the province to get an idea of what's actually going on. And in 2022, only 5.3%, that's the green bar, in schools that are serving the same community as us. So quintile 1, 2, 3 schools, I think only 1 and 2, sorry, only managed a 5% pass rate in the maths test. So 95% of those got below 50% in that test. So that gives you an idea of the extent of the problem, and the entire Western Cape couldn't reach 20%. And luckily, I think we were able to show that at the school we do shift the needle a little bit. So we're very grateful for that. One of the other things we measure is, did the school impact you? So one of the things when the matrics leave, we asked them, one of our programs is called Future Fathers. Do you think that this program helped you to one day be a better father? And we were very happy with this result. This was last year's matrics when they left. 61% saying it made a big impact, excellent, and the red said it made a good contribution, and the rest is neutral or another comment. How was the quality of teaching? Again, almost brilliant or very good, so really happy to get that sort of feedback. Lastly, I just want to quickly say about the financial model, so you guys understand. Currently we charge 7,300 Rand per year to be in the schools, so 610 Rand a month. Not everyone can pay that, so we do write off some debt. There is some other support coming in for those kids as well. But that low fee activates the maximum government subsidy. So the government subsidy is roughly 10,000, it's actually a little bit more now, 10,500 Rand per year. But that shows you that the vast majority, well, this is just for the operations, the biggest slice of the three is donations, right? So I'm not going to go too much into the learner partnership, but I'll just quickly explain. That's basically what we tell people it costs to sponsor a learner. But to sponsor a learner, you don't cover the school fees. That's what we sort of went out of the box. Because if you've got a donor to cover the school fees, then you're back to 2 revenue streams per learner, the school fee donation plus the government subsidy. And that's not going to take you far enough. So let's keep the school fee there and the low school fee, get some significant income from that, get the maximum government subsidy, and then ask people to sponsor a learner for 11,000 Rand. So that's been quite successful so far. I think that's part of what you're going to raise for. Okay. So, but I did say to Stefan, listen, this was before we had to build this. We need, Stefan, you can tell the story as well, but we need about 4 million Rand to build this. I don't know where we're going to get it. And that's how Calling Cape Town was born. You can maybe share about that when you speak. But an amazing journey. The first year we had a small group, the second year a small group. Last year was an incredible success. With First Ascent coming on board, the First Ascent team is here. They made sure that everyone looked the part last year. It was a massive success in terms of the kids, so they became our kids sponsor, and they also injected some finances into the event. So Andre, thank you, and to your whole team, thanks very much for what you guys did for us last year, because it really raised the bar of the event. I think Christian and Dewald is sitting here, Christian is there in the back. They got involved as the media team and started marketing the event, and that's why I think many of you are here tonight. So you guys also just like raised the profile of the event massively. And I can give you a little bit of good news for those of you who have been following the event, is that we, apart from having First Ascent on board again as a kid sponsor, so you guys are going to say something about that soon. Are you ready to say something straight away or not? Are you ready?
The team is ready.
The team. Okay, so before giving you a little bit of more good news, we just start with First Ascent. After last year, they said we are on board again. We love the event. We love what you guys are doing. We'll sponsor Kit again. So let's give them a minute to just say something from First Ascent side, and then I'll share some more good news.
Hi everyone, I'm Colette. I'm the representative for First Ascent. I think it's kind of a no-brainer why I'm involved in this project, and I was tasked to talk about that. So my job was just made very easy now. So yeah, for us it's a big thing to, as a part of South Africa's brand, to be part of a project that really gives back to the community is very important for us. But I think what also makes us different is that our gear and our apparel is uniquely equipped to handle the challenges that athletes on this type of event will face. So yeah, we're just super excited to be part of this journey, and we're excited to help you guys take away some of the challenges that you might face and help you guys to get to the finish line. So yeah, thank you that we can be here, thank you we can be part of this with you guys.
Athletes of last year will agree. I think a big bonus of having a kid sponsor, it almost felt like there was a team. You know, if you look at this, it felt like there's a team spirit that was built. So apart from the top-notch kit, I think you guys really helped to build the team spirit as well. So thank you very much for that. Then the good news I have to share with you is our dream was always, if we can get it right, you know the model, Stefan will explain it more, but the athletes basically raise money for the school. But there was always the costs of the event, because it's an expensive event to run. I mean, there are boats that have to go, that have to go with the swimmers. There's a lot of medical support, there are permits. There's a lot going on, and it's quite expensive. And our dream was always to, if we can get a sponsor to take away the costs of the event, then the athletes will be raising money that will go straight to the school. It doesn't first have to cover in part the event. So that was our dream. So last year we reached out to a few people, it didn't quite work. But then one of the guys who's here tonight, Dur, is sitting over there. Is that him sitting? He's in the dark. Well, is it him? So Dur he will be introduced soon. He's on the team with the boats. He spoke to a friend of his who works at an investment company. And that group then said, well, let's hear more about it. So Stefan and I went to them to speak about, maybe it was about 3 to 4 weeks ago. We told them about our need to have the event sponsored. And I've interacted with a lot of corporates over the past years, and I cannot tell you the level of excitement of these people to get involved was almost, I couldn't believe it. It was like something I hadn't experienced before. And as I got to know their company culture and attended some of their events, I realized that it's what they're all about. They're all about what's the word? Mutuality. You know, everyone, is that the right word? Okay. So there's an infinite loop, you know, that they speak about. If you help now, you know, it helps the whole ecosystem raises up. So they're all about helping and supporting. And I couldn't believe the extent to which they wanted to get involved with the school and, you know, with the event. And that awesome company is PPS Investments. So just quickly give them a hand before I call them up. They basically said, listen, let us make sure that the event costs are covered so that all the money that the athletes raise can go straight to calling education. So that discussion is now ongoing to figure out all the details, but they already committed they will sponsor a significant amount of money to make sure that the money raised goes straight to the school. I think that's absolutely amazing, and I'm honest when I say that these people have blown us away with their enthusiasm. So can I call you out, Donna? Are you going to say something? So please give Donna a massive hand.
Look, I mean, from our side, thanks Bernard, thanks Stefan for having us. Thank you to you guys in the room. I think, you know, we feel like we're slightly late to the community actually. So, you know, it's good to come on board and to join you guys. I mean, just, you know, when we spoke about mutuality, what we mean by that is we share success. We share success with our partners, with our staff, with our clients. For those of you who don't know, are there any members in the room, actually, PPS members? Great. I mean, really what I want to say is actually thanks to these members in the room who are part of our member community. As a mutual business, we actually share our profits with these members, and it's their profits that actually fund the ability to join an initiative like Calling Education. So for us today, you know, when Ben and Stefan walked into the room a month ago, which is a very short space of time, we tried to keep our cool. We were very excited about the initiative, but we knew immediately there was, you know, very deep alignment around intent. We focus on building the professional community of South Africa, the teachers, the doctors, the dentists, the engineers, nurses, etc., who serve our country, and we serve them in turn. And you know, sponsoring and putting education at the core of our purpose is important because we grow professionals in that way. So, coming on board to support Calling Education through Calling Cape Town. I'm going to put a few people on the line here and say, Kurubis, who made the introduction for us from our investment team, is actually going to participate. We have a team coming from our wealth team who are entering and participating. We have some of our asset managers who are coming in to participate as well. So you're not alone. So thank you very much to the athletes in the room. And really from our perspective, it will be a huge success to get this organization to 4 million, and that's all we really want from joining and partnering together with you guys. So here's to shared success, I think, for the event and for the future. Thank you,
Donna. Kobus, is 'n ster baie dankie vir. Dit is amazing. As ek vir julle twee was nie, dan was baie van julle gesien moontlik nie. So eintlik alles van hierdie nie moontlik nie. So baie dankie vir julle. Ons waardeer dit regtig baie. Just to quickly, before I end with the inspirational quote, I'll show you yours for the first part. So I'll leave the first part up there. Just to quickly tell you around the finances, I think Stefan also talked about this, but I think the first year we had one big donor come in that made the financial fundraising quite successful. Stefan, I think we had an income of 700,000 in the first year. Then the expenses came out from there. And then I think in the second year it was less. It was something like 400,000. I can't quite remember the second year. So more close to 250 in the second year. But then last year was an incredible success for many reasons. And we managed to raise, we included a donation that came because someone heard on the radio someone talking about Calling Cape Town. So it didn't give through an athlete. They just heard about the event at the school and then they donated 300,000 rand, so we included that. And then we raised, after expenses, more than R1 million for the school last year. So that's quite amazing. And the average per athlete we worked out, we sort of took the relay athletes, we counted them, I think, as a third of the athlete or something like that. And then the average per athlete was something like 25,000 rand raised last year, which is quite amazing. I think the biggest raise from a single athlete was 76,000 from one athlete. And but actually that's not the point. Is not who raised the most, although we do say that. I think every contribution helps, and that's not an overstatement. It's really true. So we're very excited to have a new team on board this year who can take even further. Okay, so I'll share my quote, and then I'm going to hand over to Stefan to tell you more about the event, and hopefully after this you are all convinced that you must form part of the event in one way or the other. I read this quote the other day. I thought it was quite cool. This 18th century guy who said, "I'm not afraid of failure. I'm afraid of succeeding at things that do not matter." It's quite a powerful one. And obviously, all things were done well. I think they do matter, but it just puts into perspective. I think what we do here really matters, right? And we can maybe do another event, that maybe has a higher profile or whatever. But when you take part in this event, I think you can know that your efforts as an athlete really matter. And it really makes a difference. Enabling us, last year's event, this year's event, enabled us to say, well, now we've raised the funds to start looking at a third school. If it wasn't for Calling Cape Town's success earlier this year, I don't think we would have put out feelers to go for a third school because we didn't have a strong enough base. So it's really true that the event success is actually maybe going to spark another school like this. Isn't that amazing? So hopefully next year you guys can achieve the same. Thank you very much, Stefan. Thank you for calling Cape Town. I stuck to my 10 minutes as promised. If you take out the video, don't mind. Just keep us spoke for ages.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've got 4 minutes to wrap things up. I will take longer than 4 minutes, so I apologize in advance for not sticking to the time frame. It was not my fault. But we do respect your time, and we know there are little ones, some of you have kids and stuff. This is being recorded, thanks Kristen and Deloitte, so if you do need to slip out, please don't feel bad. You will get all the information, and we're not going anywhere. So the most important part of this evening we have covered. If you haven't realized by now, if you came here thinking you're wanting to participate in the event, that's a good reason, but this is why we are participating in the event. So I think it's completely justified that we just spent 95% of our time just understanding the cause and what Vanna and the team are doing. So I don't really have to say much. We will go into some of the details of the event, but needless to say, the purpose of you signing up and putting your name on, applying, it really is fun and it is an incredible event. But mostly because of the community, the kids, they're my biggest supporters and cheerleaders, and also the reason why I haven't completed a full one yet on my own. But the community that is forming around what Vanna and team are doing, it really is special. So for me, that's the highlight, is just meeting amazing people and being part of something that is impactful. There's that quote, it's a good quote. It really is a privilege to do something that we love, that is making a massive impact. So before we go on to I've asked Ryan to come up. He was one of the athletes this year, just to share some of his experience as an athlete that has completed the full one, and also just speak to some of the, you can say what you want, but just to give you a sense of what the event entails just from an athlete's perspective. But before I ask him to speak, can everyone that has participated before just stand quickly? As an athlete, relay team, you are included. Woo! Okay, so everyone that hasn't participated, it's an amazing community. They are coming back for more. And so when we finished over here, please reach out to them and go chat to them about their experience. But here we have Ryan to share. He's already done his own speech at a different conference about his experience, and he's got some practice. Thanks, Ryan.
So I thought maybe I'd start by trying to outdo Vanna here on a fresher quote. I heard it 14 minutes ago. And it came from, why? But I think to change the tone, it is important to understand why you are here, to do this event. And I can promise you right now that you go in with your own reasons, and there is so much more to it. Charlotte and I were talking about it earlier, and saying that you all go in there with your own sort of ego experiences, and you want to achieve this thing yourself, and get over this challenge. But when you actually get involved, and you've heard so much already, and I was going to talk a little bit about that, but well covered. But I also encourage you as well to go onto their website and go onto the Instagram page, and DLR puts a lot of extra stuff, on their pages, and as you learn more about what's going on here, it just gives you so much more gears for the day. It's a bit like chasing the sun. When you've got that different reason of why you wanted to be there, I promise you it makes the day, so much more achievable. Just make no mistake, it's a long day. I can promise you, jumping in that cold, dark water, is something. But it's, when a couple of weeks ago they asked about, what were the main highlights, of the event. And I think just about every person highlighted two main things. And the one was the people. And this community of everybody, it was amazing. It's not just about the day itself, it's the months building up before. You must come to the training days. It's so awesome getting to meet everybody and get to meet Zach behind the, behind the camera. And it's just really cool community of people. And the other side of it was the swim. There was a bit of controversy because of conditions. We couldn't do the actual crossing, but everybody was bummed out for obvious reasons. But that was actually one of the highlights for everybody. You're swimming along there and you just see the sun starting to come up, and there's a silhouette over Table Mountain, and it's just this really, really special time being out there. It's something you'll never forget. And for me, the whole day was a lot of firsts. I never swum in the dark before, so that was quite something. I'll say it over and over. And that's freezing. And all of these little yellow boys floating next to you, nothing else. And then I never done Cape Town Cycle Tour. That was an amazing event itself. And then I never hiked in the dark. And William and I kind of got our money's worth there. We finished in 22 hours and 40 minutes, so we took our whole time to do it. But it was amazing. Yeah, I think the only person who was behind us was Alfred, but that's because he went down into town every time to the original route. Yeah. But yeah, I can't tell you enough. Like it's an amazing event to be proud of, and well done for being here as a first point. You're really going to enjoy it. It's kind of what I can say. You've kind of got to experience it to really feel. I mean, I can see Ryan nodding his head there. Follow Ryan. Just wish you guys all the best, and just sign up, do it.
Perfect, thanks Ryan. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about practicalities about the event. I'm sure we're not going to get into all the detail this evening, but the purpose of this event is really just to give you a flavour of what to expect if you're wanting to participate. So this evening serves two purposes. It's obviously to share for athletes that have participated, just to show you the progress that we're making. Communication was terrible last year, partly because Vanna and I were saying earlier, but you can't say that we didn't even know who was responsible for communication last year, which was part of the problem. So porridge fell on the ground often, and it was frustrating at times, but it's beautiful to see how this event is growing. Melissa, Varshan, can you come forward? I'm going to just introduce some of the team. Dev, can you come forward? Melissa, Peter, are you here? Peter, come forward to us a bit, please. I had a meeting with Peter. Peter is our event manager. He's safety officer. He's going to make sure you guys, in general, are safe. But we had a meeting earlier this week, and he was like fully kitted out in first ascent gear. I was like, wow, you're really committed. There we go. So Peter was the youngest South African person ever to do the camel. There was like this camel challenge where you trek across, I don't know, like crazy parts of the world in a was it a Land Rover, so but Peter just said he's tested everything. First ascent just passed all the tests. So you got like a real like ambassador tester. He doesn't wear it because you're sponsoring, like he wears it because he wants to, which is great. But Melissa was an athlete this year. A third of an athlete this year. And she just said, listen guys, you need help with your communication. And she put up her hand, she's been incredible, she's like brought our team together, and that's really what we're about. We're about building a community of people that are passionate about raising funds for calling and being part of something bigger and having fun while we do it. Dev has been with us from year one. He puts our swim together. The swim is the most expensive part of the leg, just because it costs a lot to get a boat. Not a boat, but like every so many athletes or swimmers in the water, you need boats and skippers and medics. So to put this event together really does cost a lot of money relatively. If you add on the kit and the that you're going to get as an athlete, it costs a lot to put this together, and that's why we're really grateful for First Ascent and PPS coming on board to help us give as much money back to the school as possible. But you as an athlete, when you're signing up, your life will change, and you're going to get a lot of cool stuff. Our other sponsors, Jack Black is here. They've sponsored beers. That was always like a running joke. Some athlete. If you get a chance to chat to William had. I don't want to disclose how many beers he had during the event this year. It was an unhealthy amount, but it's really a beautiful story. And a lot of the athletes this year, we're going to run out of time. But William phoned me a couple of weeks ago, William, and he stopped drinking completely. But in all honesty, so he was the biggest fan, and he was our biggest supporter of Jack Black, and we're super grateful. But he's also like gone through a life-transforming moment as well, and he's not going to be drinking any Jack Blacks or at the next event. Is that right? Where was he, William? He's happy to share his story, so go chat to him as well. We'll ask him to share his story a little bit maybe at another time. But you will have the opportunity to meet all these legends. So Peter is head of safety. He's been with us for the last 3 years, planning the event. You're in safe hands. Peter, maybe you can just talk about some of the events that you've managed in the past, just to give a sense. No? It's okay. Peter was in charge of communications. So then together with Kristan and Diego, they're the guys behind all our videos and social media. We're going to give you tools to help you fundraise, because I think that's probably most of you that are keen sportsmen and athletes. Like, the event is actually cool, the fundraising part is the daunting bit. But don't worry, we've got an awesome team that's going to help you fundraise, give you tips. So maybe, we can do it now as well. But just on the fundraising bit, we've improved the way that we can fundraise, that we are going to fundraise through Melissa as well and her company. The company that Melissa works for. They've set up a donations management system for the school and especially for us athletes, so that it's easy for you to send. I don't know if you maybe want to say something about that quickly.
Last week was frustrating because athletes wanted to know how much money have I raised. The donors don't tell them that they're paying in X amount. And unfortunately, our financial manager at the time just started with intense chemotherapy. So we were not properly geared to give that feedback. There were suggestions of going through donation management systems. I'm not going to mention their names. They're all well respected, but they do take their cut, right? And we felt as if we're going to look to raise a lot of money, then we're going to lose a lot going through some of those donation management systems. But then this company that we're working with now brought down their fee to 1%. I don't think we're going to find another fundraising platform that's going to bring it down to 1%. So that is quite amazing, and that means that any donor and athlete can log in at any time to see how well they have done in terms of the fundraising. You're going to go straight to the platform, it's going to be automated, you don't have to contact us again. Sorry about all the delays previous time around. But I think that's great, it's going to give us really good data to work with, and it's going to be a more seamless for the athletes to raise funds.
Perfect, thank you. So I'm going to hand over to, so you guys can take a seat unless there's something that I'm missing. Melissa is keeping me in check. She's put together the agenda that we haven't stuck to at all. And the ladies say specific. So I'm going to hand over. So I'm just going to take you quickly through a step by step. I've got Deb here just to speak to the swim, because Ryan mentioned that the swim was the most controversial bit of this year's leg, and it caused a lot of emotions and tears and frustration and people wanting to really get in our grill, and so we realized that we need to manage expectations better. So we are going to spend just a little bit of time just speaking about the swim leg specifically, and then about the cycle tour, which is relatively easy, and then the run. I will also then just speak about the costs that are involved for you as an athlete, what to expect, that we've got some fundraising hurdles. Essentially, you are participating for free, and I'm putting this in inverted quotes because it doesn't cost you nothing. There are a lot of hidden costs that the athletes that took part this year, you just need to be aware. It's like accommodation. We've got an amazing accommodation partner, another one of our sponsors that I want to give a shout out to, Southern Sun Hotels, where we sleep over the night before and the night after, and a lot of our training days are hosted there. They've also been accommodating us for the last couple of years. Amazing, and they give us discounted rates on the rooms, but that's stuff that we're not going to cover for you. You've got to get your own wetsuits, you've got to get your own buoys, you've got to buy, we take part as part of the Cape Town Cycle Tour. The school carried the cost of your cycle tour entries. This year we thought you can cover your own cycle tour entries, enter yourself, it takes off admin from our team, so that's a cost that you'll need to cover yourself. And then we've got some fundraising hurdles just to make sure that you're not free riding and getting all this first ascent kit for free and then last minute saying, no thanks, I don't really want to do the event, which is, didn't have a lot of it this year, but those are the reasons for the fundraising hurdles. So I'll give you some of that detail, but maybe just to start off with a swim, over to Deb. Thanks.
Thanks, Stefan. Firstly, thank you for being part again. It's really awesome. I've been part since the beginning, and to see it grow and banner and growing every year. It is awesome. It gets more challenging as well. So I'm usually the guy everyone hates when the weather forecast changes 2 days beforehand. But someone has to take the hit. For next year, with the athletes, with the numbers growing, I'm not going to share a lot of details, but basically there's two major adjustments that we are making, specifically on the swim leg of the event. The first one is that there's going to be 2 sections or 2 groups swimming. The first group will be a committed group for the Robben Island crossing. For that group, there's going to be certain criteria that you have to meet to be an athlete in that group. And then the second group, which will be the majority of the swimmers, will do a loop swim very much the same as last year. There will be qualifying events in December and in January. If you still need to qualify and you want to qualify for the crossing, but we'll send all those details through later. And then the second thing is, I think nutrition was quite an issue last year. Getting nutrition to athletes or to swimmers in time. So for next year, we're going to have set points along the route either the crossing or the loop, which will be communicated beforehand, so that swimmers can expect and know where to expect the nutrition. So that's basically, we'll share more of the details on the next stage. From my side, thanks for your enthusiasm. Good luck and ask questions.
I feel like I just need, for the swimmers, for those of you that weren't part of this year's event, I do need to give just some context to the swim neck specifically, and also just to give a sense of how we've developed over time. Henry, who was one of our first participants, who said that this was a death race, and when we did the first event, he realized nutrition-wise, he didn't have anything to eat his food with, so he broke like a piece off of the inside of his car and used it as a spoon to like eat in between the swim and the cycle. So we've come a long way since then, and we figure we're improving every year.
We also don't finish at the engine anymore.
And we didn't, we finished at the Caltex, I think. That was our home base, was the Caltex in whatever street in Cape Town. Because we didn't have anywhere else to go. So now we've got Southern Sun on board, so it really is growing nicely, and I'm excited for next year. One of the biggest challenges was just, the guys that we've got on board, Derb does crossing. There are only 2 people that do Robben Island crossings. It's Derb, who's done a couple, he's got a full-time other job, so he does this as like his passion hobby. Derek Fraser from Big Bay Events is also, he's been on board for the last 3 years. He's done like 1,000 crossings, so we rely very heavily on Derek's expertise and knowledge of the crossing. So this year, it looked like the conditions were perfect. There wasn't a wind in the bay, it was looking amazing, but according to Derek's knowledge, doing the crossing that day would have been really challenging and really dangerous with the amount of swimmers, and what it looks like over here versus what it looks like over there when you're doing the crossing are 2 completely different things. We had AJ, what's AJ's surname? AJ Carlitz, who's like an extreme athlete. He drove in from Bloberg, and he just said the wind is pumping where he's staying, and we didn't have any wind. So there was a lot of discontent about our decision not to do the crossing, but when we make these decisions, it really is just for safety. For that reason, we have said we are willing, Derb and Derek that are managing the swim, we are committed to making the crossing happening. It's a big, we want to make it happen. Again, that's not what it's about, like it's a means to an end. We want to make the crossing happen. It happened in the first year in very rough conditions. In retrospect, maybe not such a great idea, but it happened. So that's why we are for the guys that will be doing the crossing. The conditions are generally they're not perfect when you do the crossing. So typically, when you do a Robben Island crossing, Derek gives you you pick a window, 2-week window, and you literally pick the best day within that 2-week window on the morning, and they say, okay, cool, go, we're going to do the crossing today because the conditions allow it. We don't have that luxury. We know what day it's going to be, and we don't know what the weather's going to look like. So it is a 50-50 risk of doing the crossing. So what we're wanting to do this year is select a number of strong athletes that have pre-qualified, will confirm what those qualifying conditions are, but we will then select a strong group of swimmers that then pre-qualifies to do the crossing, so that if the conditions are okay-ish and safe to take a certain number of swimmers across, those are the 20 or 30 or whatever number of swimmers that will eventually, that we can safely accommodate, we will take that group and do the crossing. The rest of us, and like Ryan said, the 8-kilometer swim in the bay is not, it's not easier, it's just, it's actually a little bit further that we swim in the bay, but it is just more sheltered from the elements, and it's an incredible swim. So it's not taking anything away from the extremeness of the event. It's still in the ocean. I think it's actually a little bit better than the crossing, except you just don't have that emotional thing of being able to say, I did the crossing. Okay, so that's that on the swim, just to manage expectations up front. We will communicate those, we don't know whether you're athletes or not yet, but that's just to prime expectations for the swim up front. It's going to be
highly improved, but just, and we'll communicate all those things through Melissa's communication plans and channels, which we'll talk about. When you're finished without getting into all the details, we sleep over generally at the Southern Sun Hotel, which costs roughly, 1,500 Rand a night that you pay for yourself. You can choose to sleep over the next night, although depending on what time you finish, you're not going to be doing much sleeping. You don't do much sleeping the previous night either, so it's really, take leave on Monday. I think that's a good tip. But we sleep over, we wake up at like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning for a 5 o'clock swim start. We need to finish the swim in time for the Cape Town cycle tour. So depending on so we're very dependent on the number of people that enter the Cape Town cycle tour. So this year, the last batch that left I think it was 9:30. So that's typically, doesn't matter when you are seeded for the Cape Town cycle tour, you can always go in a later batch. So that's why it doesn't matter when you enter, you can enter wherever you get seated, that's fine, because you'll probably our mission is to get you in time for the Cape Town cycle tour. Okay? So that's why we have such an early start. We then finish the swim, you get to the Cape Town cycle tour start as quickly as possible to then finish to start. So that's like the first challenge, is just getting there on time for the cycle tour. You then form part of the cycle tour. We don't have anything to do with it besides for the fact that we've just done a swim, and then you guys put on all your nice first ascent kit, and everybody sees and asks you, what are you doing? Like, who are you guys? And you say, oh, we just swam from Robben Island, or we just did an 8-kilometer loop in the ocean, and then they go, what? Oh, is that crazy? And then you go, yeah, it's because the school donate, here we go. That's typically how it goes. It's a very effective fundraising tool.
So we gave a call.
So we literally have like cards, with business cards, because you don't have much time to like explain calling Cape Town this amazing school. It's like, so you give them a card, say this is what we're about, scan the code, and off we go. And then they get to know. So the purpose of this event is to tell the school story, to make people aware of the amazing work that they're doing. You guys are also sitting here, a lot of you thinking, shucks, this is amazing. I can't believe there are such amazing things happening. How can we, What's card. So you've got a business card. So we've got a lot of these little tricks and hacks that we've built up over time to make fundraising easy for you, and we're just making it easier and easier. The purpose of the event is to raise as much awareness for what the school is doing as possible, and people just like they want to hear about the school when they hear that you're doing this crazy event. So it really is just an easy way to tell people, you're going to be talking about this like around the Braai Fire in December. So many people are going to be wanting to just give money to the school because you are crazy enough to do this event. We finish the cycle tour, and then we start with the 3 Peaks Challenge. I swam with this year. I watched movies with my kids while the guys were cycling, and then Charles finished. He was like absolutely broken. I wasn't planning on doing the run at all, and he said, yeah, come on. I think it was Afrikaans probably, but he said, come on, are you gonna run with us? I was like, oh, I wasn't planning. I was maybe gonna do 1 peak, and he said, no, come on, do it for the kinders, do it for the kids. So I joined. I hopped on their bandwagon, and I did the 3 peaks. So you do the 3 peaks. It's a 50-kilometer trail run. It's a lot of climbing. This is not a flat. Like if you've done an Ironman before, this is not the Ironman. The water is freezing. It's really cold. Just getting used to that temperature. That's why the training days are really important. If you haven't swum in cold water, even if you can do the distance, doing the distance in that cold. We had a couple of. I mean, William fell over the one morning at the training day, and he didn't even know he fell over. I don't even know if he remembers that day. But it's the cold gets to you. So this is really, don't underestimate how extreme it is. You don't need to be an extreme athlete to have done this, but do not underestimate it. If you have not done crazy stuff like this before, come to the training days. We've got an open training day. I'm not sure what the date is, Melissa will communicate it. 16 October. In a month's time, we are going to have an open training day. So tell your mates that are interested about it, come up to the training day. We're going to go swim in Clifton. I recommend that you bring a wetsuit to that first training day. If you don't have a lot of the kit, I didn't have a wetsuit. I still don't really have a bicycle. Borrow for the training days. We'll do a swim and probably climb one of the peaks for the training days, just to show you what it's about and to show you that it is really hectic. This is not something small that you're signing up to. And then we finish the 3 peaks basically, and then we've got other amazing sponsors like Butternut that's not here tonight, but there's an amazing community building. Butternut provides spreads and milks, and so you will be well looked after as athletes on the day. That's that for the event.
I think what now is Melissa going to speak about?
Yeah.
Yes.
The only thing we need to speak about is the volunteers.
Oh yes, of course. So very important as part of the community. Athletes are like part of the community. We've already got a volunteer. Oh, I forgot your name again. I'm sorry. There we go. But we're really wanting to do a volunteer drive this year. Like I was blown away at the volunteers that just helped on the event this year. We want to get volunteers for the training days. We're wanting to form a community to help grow this event and to increase the impact for the school. So we will be doing on social media, you'll see our drive for our volunteers will be just as big as for our athletes. It's not about whether you're an athlete or a volunteer, it's about what can you do to help the cause, essentially. So if you're not an extreme athlete, Donna's like our biggest cheerleader. She's phoning her friends saying, "You're an athlete." Yeah, no, Donna. They say this is basically my wife pitching me saying I'm speaking too long. Was there, Melissa, did you want to just talk about maybe some of the funding gates? So just practically, we'll give through all this information, but basically by the end of November, by the 30th of November, the commitment that we want from you as an athlete is raise at least 1,500 Rand for the school, then you're in. That's like basically you qualify then to get kit from First Ascent and whatever. You basically that's your way of saying, okay, cool, I'm committed, I'll raise funds. So you can either pay that in yourself or raise it through your network or whatever, but that's kind of the first gate. Then you're an athlete, you're on board.
No, I just want to say the donation management system isn't up and running yet. So if you manage to get some funds in the meantime, just tell them to wait until the donation management system is ready, and then they can pay. So it'll probably take another maybe month or so to get the donation management system ready, but we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, okay. Thanks guys. So my accent might be a bit strong because I'm very Afrikaans, but I also believe in typing out things and even pretty pictures. So if you're sitting here, I remember from last year, it's quite overwhelming, right? I mean, the music on the videos in itself can make you cry. You feel so inspired, you're moved by the school, but you're like, oh wait, what was all of those words? Like the dependent school, what's going to be my story? How do I get money? Am I fit enough? I can't even swim, will I be okay? Like, there's a lot of things that go through your mind. I remember, and this is from someone, there's always a lot of things going through my mind. And then I'm only a third of an athlete. I think the biggest piece, just from my side before I move to the papers, because I have to cap myself from talking too much. You might be sitting in your motivation, I think Ryan also spoke to that. Your motivation might be, oh, I don't want to be, nothing against Ironman, but I don't want to be mainstream and just do an Ironman. Or, you know, I want to show my friends I can do this. Anna sitting here, she was one of our biggest supporters, carrying up basically on the mountain. And here she going to complete the full thing. So, the thing you shouldn't be fearing the ice cold water, or if I can complete this. The fear you should have is that you're not going to be able to walk away after 1 year. Like, you might do it for the ego motivation or the adrenaline rush, but you stay for the kids. And it's really a thing for cricketers. We're going to actually brand that, sell t-shirts, get more money. So, I think the biggest piece is there's 3 things for you before you walk out here to focus on. I should have been a teacher, really. Now, look at this laminated in this, although I didn't use the school fund for that. The first one is this blue picture. There's one outside as well. This is a WhatsApp group. This is for, I really don't like the name, but it's printed now. The Cooling Cape Town Explorer. But that's what you are, right? Whether you're a volunteer or athlete, you want to explore more. Okay, but you can scan this and then you're part of a group. This group will be deleted, you will be removed from this group on the 13th of November. So this is not going to be, it's until then, I'm going to delete it. I hate redundant groups and everything. So this group will expire, but it gives you the opportunity to have access to any communications, because I have seen a lot of I don't know if you guys know Myers-Briggs, but if you're not a J personality, you've got 2,803 messages in your Gmail, meaning you're not going to get comms. WhatsApps are a little bit more irritating, so you will see them. So join this group for now. There's no commitment to this. I'm going to remove you at the beginning of November, whether you sign up or not. There's one outside, and we will also send an email to, if you RSVP and you got your email, we'll send that link there as well. But this is just quicker, you know. Okay, the next one is the sign up form. And this QR code, that's also on the website, is on the Instagram, but if you put in now, really feel inspired, just do it. I also want to emphasize here, if you're a volunteer, the idea around volunteers is not only on the day helping at a table. If you're good at marketing, creating content, talking, even if you're only a third of an athlete.
Listen, I just want to say, the third of an athlete was just to tell me it wasn't a comment, it was how valuable you are. I've got a number of volunteering. Listen, my wife is a psychologist, so I can easily, if it's heavy on you, I can
I'll take that number then. So apply here, but if you're a volunteer, just go through the list, right? There's if you can bake banana bread, that is what volunteering looks like. It's really bringing your passion and your skills and doing it for the others. The last one is this. So we will also be sharing this on the WhatsApp group. But this is your step-by-step guide to survive 2024 as a Cooling Cape Town Explorer, hopefully athlete volunteer. Okay, so I'm going to quickly just brief you guys. September, your main focus is join the group. That's all, okay? So September, just make sure you get on this group. The sign-up is already open, but it's not your full focus. Join the group. October, it's come train with us and then sign up. Okay, so October focuses that open training day and sign up, because applications closes end of day, 23:59 on the 1st of November. So that's all for October. That training day, is the 12th of October, not the 16th, if you have a put a finish at the work. Then in November, so you guys will know, I haven't said anything about funding yet, because first, join the group, train, sign up. That's it, okay? The funding, these guys are amazing. I mean, they put music to videos. People just want to, they throw you with money. It's actually the perfect training, because your feedback is going to be so amazing. So November, it's application feedback and then focus on funding. So there was the biggest concern for us last year was you applied and you didn't know if you succeeded. So I was messaging all of my friends that know Stefan in some way. I lived with his brother-in-law. I was no, just get us in there. Meanwhile, we were already qualified. We didn't know it. So there's strict dates on that, and it's also on this page. We will be communicating it. So that's for November, and then December, you're going to train. We're going to set up athlete profiles, and you need to get your deposits in place. But at that stage, also the donation management system will be in place. We will be giving you guys training. Since I am managing the developers that build this thing, we're going to have it in time. We're going to keep some big clients there. And that's basically that from my side, just on dates. Everything's there. Join the WhatsApp group. We'll share that there as well. The last piece, which we just going to type like just a comment, is because of people having 2,803 unread emails in their Gmail accounts, we're going to set up a Notion document that's a link, and that's going to be again in the WhatsApp group. Any communication, any frequently asked questions, advice even on nutrition, again there, if you want to be a volunteer and you're passionate about that, like we're going to add that, but everything will be consolidated into one single place, and we'll also limit the communication to once a month. We're going to tell you, oh, this month, this is the focus, this is your checklist, and train, and ditch the money, just push it into the account. Yeah, that's it.
So like my heart just gets so happy when Melissa comes in with all those. We didn't have any of this this year. So PPS and Melissa are bringing some professionalism to this event this year. We are taking it to the next level. Professional is part of your name, isn't it? It's all in there. Yeah. So guys, that's it. We're gonna leave some time for Q&A. Apologies for going 35 minutes over. If there are any questions that you would like to ask that you think would be relevant for the whole audience, potentially something that we haven't covered, like something that's burning in the back of your mind, you can ask that now. You can come forward, or this mic is not very long, but are there any like burning questions now? I think the main thing to take away is sign up to that WhatsApp group, but Melissa's going to send you an email anyway, so there's not much that you need to do. If you're here, you will get the communication. It's amazing.
Read that.
Yes.
From Brisbane to the start of the hours.
So we drive, there'll be buses. Buses, yeah. So we were actually quite concerned the first year. We thought, shucks, are we going to make it on time? But that time of the morning, it's pretty free flowing. It takes like, I think Stefan was with us that one year when he swam. It took like 10 minutes from 15 minutes maximum. So there's a lot of logistics that goes into where do you keep your bicycles and your bags and your nutrition. But essentially your bicycles, you leave with Peter and team, and they all have it ready for you at the start of the cycle tour, depending on where you finish. If you finish the swim at Oceano's Powerboat Club, your bike will be there, and you just cycle to the start. If you're one of the swimmers that are doing the crossing, your bike will be waiting for you at the start, whatever, close by points that you can just quickly join the cycle tour. Any more questions? Yes.
Hi, sorry. I just want to know what's your baseline fitness be now?
Okay, so I'll repeat the question for the online. What should your baseline fitness be if the event is in March, 7 months to go? It's tough. So I think some people have some people can be super unfit, and like somehow they can just do their event, wake up and do it tomorrow. They take 24 hours to do it. So maybe to give you a sense, AJ Carlitz finished the event in 14 hours this year, like a machine. He finished at 7 o'clock, the sun wasn't even down, he was done. Alfred took 24 hours, so started at 5 o'clock, finished at 5 o'clock the next morning, pretty much. Or was it 23 hours?
23 hours.
23 hours. Yeah, 23 hours. Okay, so he beat the clock. I was not very fit at the beginning of this year. If you pace yourself well, you will be able to finish. Like, it's not a race. This really is you just want to finish. But yeah, so I would say, like, if you can run and swim and cycle, just generally, like, you'll have enough time. It depends on there's enough time, but you'll need to put in the hours like from now. Like if you like an average Joe like me, you can. It's possible. Yes. Like in a training session. No, like half, like maybe 3 or 4 in a training session, and then you'll be able to do 8. I mean, swimming is the biggest barrier to entry for most people. So I think that's the hardest. So how we like to, I think Nada said it last year, the swim and the run. In between the swim and the run, you rest on the bicycle for 109 kilometers. So the swim is kind of the barrier to entry. It's tough because it's cold. So depending on how well your body, so I would almost say like it's more important for you to condition your body to the cold water rather than the distance. So I would say like being in the water, in cold water in a wetsuit for an hour, like over an hour, pushing to an hour and a half, I would rather measure time in the water, in cold water, rather than the distance. The distance is important, but if you can swim like 3 or 4 kilometers, let's say 4 kilometers before the event in cold water, you're good. Cycling, like it's the cycle tour. There's a lot of, anyone can do the cycle tour. It is tough though after you've done 8 kilometers in cold water. And in the run, do not underestimate the run. This is the biggest, like, I took 12 hours to finish the run because I basically just walked the whole way. It was me and Jacobus and you also had Jason. It was me, Jacobus and Jason. We basically just walked for 12 hours. So you just tick away and you finish it, and you go through some dark moments. Ryan didn't say it, but like you go through some really heavy dips because your body is just not used to being busy for 18 hours a day. It doesn't matter how slow you go. So in terms of preparation, it's just trying to build up that capacity in the next couple of months to do long. So that's why the training days are really important. It'll give you a little bit of a sense check. When you finish like an hour swim and one of the peaks, and you're like, shucks, I've got to do another 2 peaks and I've just done the cycle. So it gives you just kind of a sense check. I don't know if any of the other athletes want to correct me. I've never done the whole thing before. Does anyone want to just like give more context maybe to the most possible question?
I can maybe add here, just like those training days, like Stefan said, are important. It does give a lot of like context, but what 2 of my friends and I did is every weekend we went to the mountain and rode routes. And then that just gives you a good idea. And also you become so accustomed to what the route's like, you kind of break it into chapters. So mentally you get into that chip, to that chip, to that chip, like going up. And then like as we got along the way, we then did 2 weeks per weekend. We never did 3, it's too much to do in our training. But just do 2, and like that just builds up. You very quickly understand where you're at and where you need to be. Yeah.
So thanks, Ryan. And then also maybe, I don't know if they're going to be people, so there are people from Durban. We had guys flying in from Durban, and their water's warm. So, and they did amazingly. So they were able to do it. I don't know. So some of them like flew down literally from Durban for the training days to just get themselves used to the water. So if you are sitting somewhere overseas and you can't come train in Cape Town, it's also not the end of the world. Just don't be surprised when like Durban water does not feel the same as Cape Town water. Like it is wildly different. Yes, you can sign up as a team. So we do, yes. So we encourage teams, and it's part of the fun. And it's Melissa was a relay of. She did the running route, and who else? Yeah. So there we go. So there's the team again, all reunited. So there are teams, and it's welcome. So it's part of the application process. You just need to say which leg you're doing. So maybe for a relay team, your funding hurdles will be the same as an individual athlete. So if each relay member needs to raise 1,500 by the end of November. We will accept late entries, so we'll stage gate it, but because there's a lot of information to kind of get through, this is not the same as just entering an event and cool. So we will be stage gating it at the end of January. I think there's another, then we'll say, okay, you need to at least have raised 3,000 by then, and maybe by the end of February, you need to at least have raised 5,000. A lot of the funding comes in that like last 2 weeks. So if you like in at 10,000, whatever, if you've only raised 5,000 or 10,000 rand or whatever it is before the event, there's a big push like in that week and on the day.
Stephen, wasn't that for people who enter later? that they don't have to raise 1,500 in December and
No. So if you raised if you've raised 1,500 by the end of November, you're in.
Yeah.
Like, welcome. If there are then other people that won't like your mates, because a lot of your friends are gonna be like, I want to do it with you. They're welcome. They'll just have a different fund. If they've missed the 30 November gate, their funding requirement to get in will just be they'll have to raise 3,000 by the end of January or whatever it is. So get your friends to do it with you. I would encourage you, train, don't try and do this thing on your own. Like, training gets lonely. Ryan and Barry and Simon and these guys are all training together in between events as well. So please, get a couple of guys together to do it with you. That's why relay teams are great, except that you're all doing different legs, so you won't be training together necessarily. But it really is about doing it with friends and having fun.
Sorry, Stefan, one of our guys today just asked, is there a limit, apart from the criteria meeting, is there a limited amount of increase that you will allow for growth?
Probably, I don't think we'll reach it. We'll probably be able to handle up to 200 athletes, which I don't think we'll meet. Or maybe 150, but no, I mean, if we get to 150, then we'll sit down with the team and be like, shucks guys, can we take 150?
The swim is the limit.
But the swim is the kind of limiting factor. Cycle tour, I mean, anyone can cycle, and the run is relatively easy to manage more people. It obviously has implications for our kit sponsors, but we've kind of 150, 200, we'll have a look. We don't have a fixed number, but if we start getting to those numbers, we might just say, sorry, you can't. I'm not expecting to hit that though by the first funding gate, so it should be fine.
Just a question, maybe Joe would be able to answer this. Do you guys do anything to prevent sharks?
That's a good question.
It's a very
So, do we do anything to prevent sharks? Good. You will not answer the question, but essentially no. There hasn't been any shark attacks in the bay. People do crossings regularly. The guys in the water, they know kind of generally what the happenings are and whether there are sharks or whether there's been a sighting. So that's obviously every person, when you're swimming, you're thinking about a shark. It's dark, you're thinking about it, but just in terms of statistically, it is more likely that something's going to happen to you on your way home in the car tonight. But we do think about it.
Is it not true that in False Bay you're more at risk of a shark rather than
Yeah, so
in
they
Naval Bay?
only have friendly sharks.
Is that not a real stat? The Bay has been a shark attack since 1972 or something. So the real risk would have been if you swam False Bay. That's how I understand it.
that statistic, that's not a good thing. Yeah, statistically, I mean, if there hasn't been one in,
it's likely to happen. Every 50 years.
No, okay, so guys, it's a good question. You guys will be signing indemnity forms. We can't honestly. We are doing our utmost best to make sure that this is a safe event. So we will be putting everything in place to make it as we are. It's a registered event. We need permits. It really is a story to get all that. There are medics on boats. So if there is something, we will call everyone under the water. So a shark attack is a possibility. Statistically, yes, it's low, but we realize that you're swimming in the ocean. It is just a fact. It is a long event, so I mean the last thing we want reputationally for the school or any of our partners is for anything bad to happen. That's why we are getting very strict, specifically around the swim and the numbers we are able to manage and the kind of the protocols. Essentially, there's nothing that you can really do for a shark, but typically,
I've heard about these things that stick in the water and they pulsate.
Yeah, so we'll look at it. We've looked at a lot of that stuff, but maybe this is for you.
No, you don't have to.
Yeah, but so the stuff that pulsates, the problem with that is that it actually attracts the sharks. So the stuff that you put in that pulsates, it attracts them initially, and then they realize this is not something they want, and then they go away. The problem is if you have like a lot of people in the water, and you don't have the things pulsating in the right areas, then you're attracting the sharks, and you'll be fine if you're close to the pulsating thing, if you've got something on your ankle. Sorry buddy, that's like a little bit behind. So those are the kind of things that we need to manage. So there are things, we've spoken to shark experts and really tried our nut to make it a zero probability. We can't guarantee anything, but it is highly. If my wife lets me swim, I can tell you she's a nervous type. So we can't make any guarantees, but you will be signing an indemnity that this is at your own risk. We are going to do our nut to keep you safe, but yeah, I mean you're putting your body on line for the kids, for the goodness. Yes.
After all this shark talk, I went doing a swimmer. I was asking your friend, what's the qualifying criteria for the Robben Island process?
So we still need to. So what's the qualifying criteria for the Robben Island crossing? We will confirm that because we realize that not everyone will be. So typically, depending on how many people want to do it, so we'll firstly probably ask who wants to put their name in the hat to qualify for the crossing. Then we'll take it by. Then you'll need to submit what long water open swims have you done. We will then look at your pace and your speed, whether you've done a crossing or not already. Then if you haven't done a crossing, we'll look at the distance that you have done, and then we'll basically select our 20, I think. We'll say if it's more than that, but let's just say for now, we'll select the top 20 athletes of the pool that feels very strongly about doing the crossing, so that we've got like a relatively strong group of swimmers that we can take. So there'll just be an onus on you to submit that information to us to DERDA, and they'll do the selection.
Just with the alternative route, were there conditions southeaster, what that route is always safe?
So
my question is like, will swim happen?
Yeah. So this was, I mean, my biggest thing. So I'm the main. So Godfrey's question was, will the swim happen? Like in what conditions will the swim not happen? So the bay swim it's according to Derek, who's like in the water every day. The kind of conditions in March. Generally, we've got like a 95% chance of the bay swim happening at the conditions, because it's relatively sheltered against the winds that typically blow in March. Don't ask me what direction, but they generally blow in the right direction for the bay swim. For the crossing, but the bay swim is a pretty like the last thing I want is for this event that anyone wants. Is like with the Ironman when you rock up and you're like, cool, let's cycle and run today because the sea is too rough. So we've got a generally good chance, like I would say, there am I exaggerating, 90-95% chance of being able to do the bay swim. And we can always make the loop a little bit shorter. We're wanting to make the loop as big as possible so that you're not like a hamster swimming around, but there are things that we can reel it in so that it's, so that it is manageable. But our first prize will be to make sure the swim does happen. Last prize, we'll ask you guys to swim up and down Sea Point pool. Okay, yes? Someone that, just a question here at the back and then you, Melissa.
I wanted to ask, is there kind of a qualification for this cycle or like a qualification criteria? And then are there people who kind of signed up with them and finished the 24 hours? And how do you
Yes, okay, good question. Are there qualification criteria for, are you going to send an application and are we going to say no? We will look at every application, but the idea is not to, it's more, no. We will look, if you send in an application and you've never done anything in your life that's active and whatever. So we ask you a lot of questions about what have you done before, why do you want to do it. Essentially, we will look at it, and then we'll have a look at specific athletes, and then we'll have a conversation with you if we see that, like either you've never done any sport in your life, but you're super passionate about calling and you want to do this event. And we will then probably ask you to come to a training day. We had that. We had guys that were super passionate, and they rocked up on the first day, at the first training day, in the PT shorts. This is a good story actually. JP rocked up in his PT boogie. That was it. And then, no, it wasn't JP. Sorry, let's not name names. But there were a couple of guys that the swim part, like super passionate. They ended up doing. So this one guy, he ended up doing the cycle and the run. But on the swim, he was super keen to, in the 7 months, learn how to swim. And we saw that training. I told him at the first training day, I said, like, I'm excited that you're passionate, but you're not going to do the swim. It's not going to happen. We got like 100 meters in, and he was like, oh, can I borrow your goggles? And then he asked, can I borrow your buoy? And I said, no. Like, you can borrow, yes, take my goggles and take my buoy, but let's focus on the cycle and the run. So we're just going to take a pragmatic approach to the applications, but generally it's a low kind of entry bar. People didn't finish. More people finished than I thought. 31 out of 39 people finished. So I think there were 8 people that pulled out because it was too hectic. So it's doable. You must just pace yourself. Yeah, it's important. Melissa?
I don't know if you want to say something about the softball, which is like, it's all about the event, but at the end you want to raise funds. So there's the
Yes.
just like the softball goal for each athlete as well. You don't just
Yeah, I think it's important so we're trying to make the barriers to entry as low as possible, but ultimately it is, so financially for you as well, but ultimately it is to raise funds for the school. So the 1,500, the 3,000, the 5,000, those are really just basically to make sure that if you're coming on board, you're showing commitment from your side. But we want people to raise more than, on average, our goal is to raise more than 25,000 rand per person per athlete. We've got a lot of soft targets in place, just to kind of guide you to say, shucks guys, by this date, at least try and raise this much, just to give you guys a sense of, and this year it's going to be easier because we'll be able to kind of see how much everyone has raised in real time. So you can have a little bit of a competition amongst each other to see how much you can raise amongst yourselves. Yeah. Is that? Yeah. No, is there a last question maybe? We'll be hanging around, all athletes will be hanging around for any more questions. Oh, the one story on JP that I did want to say is that JP did rock up in his PT boogie on day one, but he was one of the guys that was like super committed. He was sending photos on the group in like lying in an ice bath, and so he was super committed, and he didn't do the full swim. But anyway, he did like a large portion of the swim or oh yeah, it was the cycle. So he did the swim. He ended up doing the swim, even though like day one, he literally came in his PT boogie. And then he finished the swim, but he wasn't able to do the full cycle because he wasn't on time to do so he had to do the shortened cycle route, and then he did the run. So there are those beautiful stories, but we will be monitoring guys like kind of throughout the couple of months, and then saying, maybe, so, yes.
I know with the boats, touch the boat, disqualified,
No.
Not really the heart.
No, so we're thinking about whether, so the question is, are we running it as like you touch the boat, you disqualify? No, this is really more about like community finishing it together. If you touch the boat, like try not to. It's more just for your own honey badge. Like if you don't touch the boat, we're going to decide whether to time the race. It's not the purpose, but we know that it is important and it is fun. to like know what your time was. So we're not making any promises, but the heart behind the event is just to finish and to raise funds. That kind of internal race stuff, all for it. I'm going to be racing maybe someone somewhere, but it's the real race is about who can raise the most funds. Every athlete will have trackers. We must still figure out exactly which trackers we will use, but like your family and stuff will be able to track you on the day to see exactly where you are. It's difficult to track you on the swim. We're going to see if we can figure it out, but you can see where you are on the cycle tour. We can see where you're on the peaks. It's also part of our safety plan that Peter will be managing, so that we can see and track where all the athletes are at any point in time. We'll have security guards like roaming the mountains so that we don't have any incidences of all this, that will try and mitigate kind of those events.
So Stefan, I don't know if many people can squeeze so much information into 4 minutes. Well done. Listen everyone, it's been great to have you. To the calling guys in the back who are still here, thank you for being here as well. And I think you all have a great sense of what it's all about now, and we're very happy to have the improvements going from this into the next, and you've heard all about that tonight. So thank you so much. Please follow Melissa's instructions. I think that will be the go-to for all your information. But thank you for taking so much time out. I believe there are still some snacks and stuff, so please enjoy that. And then travel safely. As you leave the school, just be careful to stay in this first row. Just stay in the middle of the road. There's the one side that slips down to a bit of the beach. just don't do that. Okay. It hasn't happened before. It could happen. Okay, thanks everybody. Great.